Hi there, this is John Kenworthy again, and welcome to Reframing. Reframing is a very powerful communication, coaching and mentoring tool. Reframing, just like reframing a picture, enables you to change the perspective of the individual. If you change the context of something, the meaning of something, or the actual content of something, you end up changing the meaning. It is absolutely essential that when you are doing this as a coach or a mentor, that you separate the intention from the behavior. Remember, as individuals, we judge ourselves by our intentions. We judge others from their actions and behaviors. Be factual, be clear, separate the person from what they're doing. So let's look at a context reframe. In a context reframe, it's like taking the same picture but actually shifting the frame. So the frame is surrounding and limiting your vision to a different part of the same picture. The most common example of this is somebody says, I'm too lazy, I'm too unqualified. Or talking about others, he's too lazy, she's too angry. What you want to be doing here is thinking of a different context in which the person will respond differently to exactly the same behavior. When they're talking about themselves, we want them to be looking outside of themselves at their behaviors. So, very common, particularly with aunties and uncles and so on. She's too lazy. Reframe this in a context. See, it must be great to feel so refreshed at the end of each day. A content reframe is looking at changing the actual content of the picture. In this example, it was a clear road, now we're seeing a big traffic jam. See, whenever X happens, I respond Y. Whenever you shout, I get defensive. Ask yourself, what else could this behavior mean? So, when you shout at me, I get defensive. This could mean that I am feeling guilty that I haven't actually done something. Usually does as well. Or you can think of an opposite frame or a different meaning. The example I put here is, my daughter's so stubborn. Respond to that. How wonderful that she'll be able to look after herself. Stand up for herself. See how that massively changes the attitude towards something that somebody has perceived as being stubborn. Let's look at a few exercises here. Just as I read out each one, think of ways in which you could reframe it. I'm going to give you an example for each one, and in the template you have a series of about 40 reframing questions that you can ask. So here's the first example. I work too hard. Good response to that could be, would you be happy if you didn't? I should have been promoted. Perhaps you're too good at what you do. Whenever the boss calls me into the office, I get nervous. Would you be more or less nervous if he didn't call you in? I always have to finish the job for him. Is there a time when he finished it himself? The reason here is the comparator always. He's completely useless. I don't know, he'd make a good vase. She's too stupid. That must make her happy. I never get home in time. Was there ever a time you were in? She always gets blamed. Is it never her fault? I should be paid more. Then what would you do? It's always me who has to tidy up. Wouldn't they not do it if you didn't? You never do it. Has there never been once? Nobody ever says thank you. Thank you. As you practice with the reframes, you become more fluent and these become much easier. And while some may appear silly or strange, they do cause a jolt to the conscious brain to cause people to think. And what we want them to do is think differently. Think about the same situation, just in a different way. So what you want to be doing is working with a partner. This could be your coachee, but it's probably best to practice with your friends and family to start with. So find a partner who's willing to play this exercise with you. Tell each other a story about something work-related, a time when you learnt something important and useful. When both of you have shared stories, take a part or all of the story and just reframe it either in content or context to change the meaning. Keep playing with this. Keep thinking of the ways in which you can change context or change the content to change the meaning of something so that the other person looks at things from a slightly different perspective. Now, quite often you find that in organizations, individuals don't want to be coached, usually because they see coaching or mentoring as something to fix a problem. In other words, you have a problem, therefore I'm suggesting you're coached. Now, personally, I think that coaching and mentoring is about making successful people more successful. However, it's not always perceived like that. And there's a couple of things that what you want to be looking at, whatever their reason for not wanting to be coached, or even for coaches in your organization to be coaches or mentors. You want to be reframing it, and what are you reframing around? And what is the attitude to take? What is the attitude for other people, your partner in this case, to be working on to look at things in a different way? So the first reason, who are you to be telling me? That is a limiting belief. It causes somebody to believe that perhaps they're not good enough. It's a very common limiting belief. What you want to be doing is looking at what that limiting belief may be and looking at ways in which you can reframe that in its context. I don't know. I've helped a lot of people. I'm your guide. I am your appointed guide. Do you have a problem with that? Do you specifically want to choose somebody else? Where you want to be here when somebody says this to you is making sure that you respect their model of the world. They do see things differently. It's their model, it's their reality, it's their perception. So go with their perception. Understand that if they're asking you, who are you to be telling me, then in reality they don't honestly either respect you or respect that you have the skills or knowledge or experience in their perception. Now remember, a mentor and a coach do not have to be older, they don't have to be wiser, they don't have to be more qualified. In fact, you can learn a great deal from 6-year-olds. So respect the other person's model of the world. The next one, coaching takes too long. Yeah, I'm sure it does. But telling takes 2 people every single time. Here, the attitude to adopt is the meaning of your communication is the response you get back. Too long? For what? The next one, I don't want to improve change. People rarely will actually tell you this, though it's implied. They need motivation. They need to find the fruit of motivation to improve their behavior. In other words, the development as a goal may not be suitable for them. But what do they want that their own development will enable them to get there? Remember this attitude: people are not their behaviors. Fourth one, I'm not comfortable with. I'm not comfortable with coaching, I'm not comfortable with sitting down one-on-one, I'm not comfortable with my skill set, and so on and so forth. This is all about their confidence and experience. How will you become comfortable if you don't practice? Remember the attitude: there is no failure, only feedback. If you mess up, that's okay, that's feedback. Carry on. There is no failure, only feedback. The last reason I'm going to talk about in this tutorial is, if I coach this person, they'll think I'm picking on them, ganging up on them. This is very much the idea that coaching and mentoring, in fact all training and development, is about addressing somebody's weaknesses, that they're not good enough. The truth is, perception is projection. If people believe that when they are offered coaching or mentoring or training, that they are not good enough, that's their perception, that's their reality. What you want to be doing is switching the attitude, and the key attitude here is people can change anything. You're in charge of your own mind, therefore you're in charge of your own actions. You can allay their fears and make sure that what you want to do is guide them for greater success in their lives. Enjoy. Some of these areas are difficult when you're finding a motivation to change, so look at the motivation to change tutorial. Cheers, I'll see you again soon.